LJH crew, what's going on? Thank you once again for clicking on another edition of the Real LJH Productions. Now, this is going to be a little interesting. I still got a lot of things that I have to review. I still have to do Twisters. I still got the Bad Boys. I still have the Wolverine, Deadpool, 4K. But I wanted to do something here that is a little different. I want to go over a franchise and talk about which ones I find to be the best in their franchise and which one is the worst in their franchise. And to do that, we're going to talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Jeffrey Rush, and Keira Knightley. And we're going to go over which one I think is the best in the franchise and which one I think is the worst in the franchise, and I'll explain why. So, with that being said, we're going to get into it. We'll start with what I think is the worst one in the franchise, and then we'll go from there. Um, my personal opinion with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies is that they're all good. They're all great in their own way, um, but there's always that one that's better than the others, right? So with that being said, to me, starting with the worst to the good, um, the worst one to me in the franchise is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Um, I just think on Stranger Tides kind of just lacks a story. I think it I think it was rushed to capitalize on the success of the third movie, and I didn't find it to be as great as the first three. Um, and it had so much potential. You know, it had Johnny Depp, it had Penelope Cruz, it still had Jeffrey Rush, and then they brought in Blackbeard, which and then the mermaids. The mermaids are kind of what did it for me. Okay, you know, mermaids shouldn't be scary and evil and whatever. Um, but on Stranger Tides is the story of Jack Sparrow going to find the Fountain of Youth, and I just feel like it took too long to get there. Um, the movie is a little over 2 hours and like 30 minutes, and with most of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, this goes really quickly. With on Stranger Tides, it felt like it was rushed and didn't really lack the story like it should have. So, in my personal opinion, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides is the worst in the franchise for that reason. I feel like it lacks story. The second one to me that's okay in the franchise, not great. Um, it's better than on Stranger Tides, but the other one that is I think at Ward's End. At Ward's End um, is a great movie. It's got a great story, and it's got that twist where they bring back Barbosa um, from Davy Jones's locker. It shows him back at the beginning, and they explain how she was able to bring him back in the saucer. But the thing about At Ward's End that kind of lacks is it's just a really long movie. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking up here. Yeah, it's 169 minutes. You know, it's the longest in the franchise. It doesn't it doesn't lack a story. The story in At War's End is actually really good, and it honestly ends the first trilogy, or at least you think it does. It's it's a fun movie. However, it's not the best in its franchise. It's not the best in franchise at all. Um, it's better than on Stranger Tides, but it's. I would say this one's got a lot of funny moments, and I think that's why I like it and it's dear to me. But yeah, but Pirates at World's End to me is not the best in the franchise, but it's better than on Stranger Tides. So the next one on this list is the original um Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, the one that started it all. In my personal opinion, it is not the best in the franchise. It's just not. Don't get me wrong. It got us introduced to Miss Swan and to Jack Sparrow and Barbossa and to Will, and it got you introduced to all these characters um, to do the story. The Black Pearl is the one that started it all. So it's definitely not hated. It's very appreciated. Without the Black Pearl, we wouldn't have the rest of the movies. But it's a great film. It's shot very well. The story in it is very, very unique about the pirates that walk among us because of the curse, and they're trying to break the curse and get the coin, and Miss Swan meets Will, and Jack Sparrow realizes who Will is in this one, and it was a it was great for the time. It started a trend and was very, very unique. So for that, the Black Pearl is definitely not the worst in the franchise, but at least to me, it's not the best. Now, this next one is a toss up because I feel like both of these were shot very well and for different reasons. So I had to kind of really think about this before I shot this video and which one of these two I think is the best in the franchise. It was a hard decision, but here's the thing. Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales is not the best in the franchise. It's To me it's close. And the reason why I say that is because it lacked what On Stranger Tides did. Um, we went through a phase in the Pirates of the Caribbean series where Orlando Bloom didn't want to return. He just wanted to move on from other things. So Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush took over on Dead Man Tell No Tales. And Keira Knightley didn't return except for the very end for like a little cameo. But what this one does do is it does bring in Will's kids. Well, it brings in Will's son, which is very, very cool. And the special effects in Dead Man Tell No Tales is just awesome. It's a really, really, and I love the story in this movie, and the cinematography is shot very well. Um, and it's probably out of all the Pirates of the Caribbeans, I would say it's the one that looks the best on Blu-ray. And I do think we need to get Pirates of the Caribbeans in 4K, but that's just again, it's Disney. Disney's gonna pick what they want to put in 4K in their franchise. It is what it is. Um, but yeah, I mean, Dead Man Tell No Tales is definitely one of my favorites in the franchise. That's why it's not where it is. That's why it's where it is, but it's not the best. Now, to me, and I get this a lot. Like I said, it was very hard for me to make this decision But from all the research I've done and figuring out which one I think is the best in the franchise and stuff, everybody says the same thing. Almost the same thing. There are people that like the other ones, but Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest, to me, out of all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, is the best one. Um, it introduces us to Davy Jones, which is the main villain for two movies, and to me, he's a straight out badass. Trying to take Jack's soul. Um, got Will Turner's father on board as prison captive, and it's one of the great. It To me, it's the best. The story's fun. Jack Sparrow's got a lot of throwaway lines in this. It kicks off great. The whole beach scene with everybody fighting is just action packed, and it's a all out great movie. It's it doesn't. I feel like every part of Dead Man's Chest just has action packed. I think it's just a great sequel to capitalize off the Black Pearl. And one of my favorite sequences in the movie, like I said, is the big fight scene where Jack and them are off. They're fighting on the wheel, and then you have them running. They have them running with the chest to see who's going to grab the chest. It's great in so many ways. And then you get that big suspenseful surprise at the end, um, where they're all there and they say, "What would you do?" Um, what would you do to save every? What would you do to save everybody? Would you go to the centers of the earth to do it? Would you bring back anybody? And then, so at the end of this one, where you think Jack Sparrow was swallowed by that big ass monster thing, um, because Keira Knightley kind of sacrificed him because she felt like he should go down with the ship, and whether it was a lesson or not, she's got guilt. So what ends up happening is, of course, they end up going to the witch doctor, and she says, "Would you do anything to save him? Would you go to the center of the earth? Would you go to Davy Jones' locker to get him back?" And then it reveals that because of the monkey, she brought back Barbosa, and then he has that famous line that goes, "What has happened to me, ship?" And then it goes black, and then the credits go off, and then you're just waiting in suspense for At War's End. And that to me is why this one is the best in the franchise. I really, really think Dead Man's Chest is the best is the best. Um, and yeah, so that was my take on which parts of the Caribbean I think is the best in its franchise. I want to hear from you guys down below. Tell me which one you guys love the best. Which parts of the Caribbean do you enjoy the most? Which one is your guilty pleasure? Which one do you love the most? Which one do you hate the most? And are you looking forward to any more parts of the Caribbean coming out? Because supposedly they're on the horizon. Um, and it looks like Johnny Depp will return, but with a female lead. I'm curious to see how that should go. Let me know how you guys feel about that. But with that being said, guys, this does end another video, and I will see you all real soon. I want you to hit those notification bells so there's when I post a video. Check out the TikTok at the Real LGH Productions as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, remember, guys, once we hit 500 subscribers, I am giving away that copy of Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. It's still here. Still can't wait to do it. And with that being said, guys, I will see you all real soon. Got a lot of stuff on Horizon that I'm working on. Still got to review Twisters. Still got to review Deadpool Wolverine in 4K. Still have to watch Bad Boys Ride or Die on Blu-ray to get my review on that. There's just a lot going on. I'm going to do a review this year for some Christmas movies which I'm going to do a review for Christmas movies this year. I want to talk about a couple of things with them and talk about which one's my favorite stop motion out of the main four that were made. But we'll get into that in a different video. But that being said, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. And as they say in the movies, cue the lights.